Very good morning, everyone. This is George Bairuthi from FS Securities, a stockbroking firm on the Gold Coast in Queensland, Australia. And I'm going to show you what happened last week across the global markets, what we expect this coming week. I will also show how investors and traders can make money on our stock market. I'll show you what is hot, what is not, and what you should hold and what you should fold. So enjoy the presentation and give us some feedback if you wish. First of all, I'm going to show you what happened on the volume. You can see here the volume over the last 15 trading days have been going up. But out of the last 4 trading days, we've had 3 bearish days and 1 bullish days. And you can see that the market has been zigzagging all over the place from one week to another based on information that we receive from across the world. Next, we're going to show you over the last 2 weeks what happened in America. We've seen in the last 2 weeks in America, the market was down 1.4%. That is 357 points, out of which last week 178 contributed to that major decline over the last 2 weeks. And the same thing with the Nasdaq and the S&P 500. The Nasdaq has had the major drop of nearly 3.5%, 280 points. The US dollar has actually been weak, or more we can say more or less steady. The Australian dollar again steady, but gaining a little bit of strength after falling below 69 for a couple of days last week. When it comes to gold, gold was up $6.90 over last week. However, when you combine the last 2 weeks, the market was down $4 overall. That's US per ounce. Silver again was down by 1.6%, 23 cents over the last 2 weeks. Crude oil has actually had a major drop of 5.9% last week, but the week before was a positive, so in combination we were down 3.9% over the last 2 weeks. And if you want to trade any of those commodities such as wheat, corn, soybeans, coffee, orange juice, all you have to do is call us. Now, in terms of our market, if you look at in the middle here, we've had a very good 2 weeks. Over the last 2 weeks, we've gone up 145 points, that is 2.3%, and contribution from last week was actually 1.4. So we had very good 2 weeks. Excuse me. And by the way, you can see here that our market has got major contribution from the financial sector as well as the material sectors. And the financial sector the last 2 weeks have been very, very positive. And last week, following the election, we've seen the market in the banks went up by 6%. And however, over in the last 2 weeks, we're only 1.8%, because the week before the election, I think the market was very concerned and the banks went down. In terms of the materials, we've had a negative week last week in iron ore and coal, and BHP, Rio and Fortescue were down 1.2%. However, over the last 2 weeks, we've had a major gain of 3.6%. In terms of our companies, we can see here over the last 2 weeks, CBA had 7.4% rise, NAB 7.9%, Westpac 10.7%, and ANZ, I mentioned 7.7%. So we had a very good week for the banks. BHP was down 2.6% last week, down to $37.45. And Rio down to 101, only slight drop because we had a very good week the week before. Okay, in terms of our mechanical system, where we predict what may happen next week based on the results from the week before, we've seen here that the American market has been bearish for the last 2 weeks, gaining further weakness last week. So we would not be surprised that we might see that this coming week, after the long weekend they have in America, we might see further declines in the American market. Gold has gone from bullish 3 weeks ago to neutral to more bearish for the very aggressive trader. And silver is very bearish across the last 3 weeks. Crude oil, again bearish, and we've seen the market in America dropping by nearly 5% over the last week. The Australian dollar, very subject to what happens in America. The American dollar was bullish, and of course we ended up being bearish as well. However, we've gone from 4 bearish across all investors and traders to 3 bearish and 1 neutral. Slight gain for the conservative trader. This is actually the chart for the American market, the Dow Jones. Before Christmas we've seen a major drop. We've regained most of it, and then the last 4 weeks we've seen major drops. So for the last 4 weeks we've seen a major bearish trend in the American market. Now back to our market here. We still had a very bullish market across all sectors with the exception of energy because of the crude oil price going down. Financial was strong, and even the materials, despite the decline in BHP and Rio, still very bullish for the very aggressive trader, but neutral for the long-term and the medium-term traders. This is our market, and last week we continue with the major rise. However, last week we've hit a high, but we couldn't maintain that high, which is not a very good bearish signal. So we might see that the market may actually open a bit weak this week. Thursday and Friday we've had 2 negative days, which had a contribution on what happened over the full week. Now again, from a mechanical system, what we've seen last week, because of after the election, we've seen bullish across the banks. We'll just have to wait and see what happens with the banks this week. We would not be surprised to see the banks continue that rise. However, we might see a drop in the other sectors. Telstra had a good week. Actually, Telstra had very good 5 weeks, and we've seen Telstra going up to $3.56 of recent time, which actually reached the highest point in many years, or let's say at least 12 months. Other than that, Telstra gone up at the expense of TPG, which is expecting to appeal the ACCC decision for the merger with Vodafone. We can see that Newcrest Mines, the gold price going higher, and we've had 2 weeks, strong weeks for Newcrest Mines. Santos gone from bullish to neutral because of what we've seen in the price of oil, and Woodside Petroleum from 4 bullish to down to 2 bullish. And our market continues to be high. However, there could be various variables that may affect the market this week. And remember, the American market is closed tonight, so we're not going to see any major indication from the overseas market from America until Wednesday morning. On the daily forecast, again we've seen the banks positive, CBA positive, CIMIC gone bearish after a neutral week. Macquarie Bank had strong bearish positions for the last 5 weeks. Newcrest Mines bullish on the daily recommendations. Rio very strong bullish as well. Telstra bullish. Worley gone bearish. That's a company that may go bearish on trading the short term. Okay, to finish off, I want to give you our disclaimer. I don't know your financial circumstances, so obviously before you take any decision, you need to consult with us or consult with your professional advisor, as we don't have your financial circumstances. So be careful. The market does not guarantee wins all the time. So have a good week, and until next week we'll provide you that complete presentation, And if you want to talk to us, by the way, these are our details. You can write to me at george@fssecurities.com.au, or the phone numbers as you can see. And if you ring from overseas, you ring 61 first, and you don't need the 0 for the mobile number. Anyway, once again, have a good week and happy trading.